as well as so burning issue in the present scenario, because whenever we consult any of the environmental uh, science faculty or expertise or any of the environmentalist, if you ask anyone, sir, can you address anything regarding the present situation regarding the environmental issues, first of all he will start with the global warming and the climate change. This is a common word which we are hearing from the past 20 plus years. Like everyone talks about the climate change and the variations in the climate because of the anthropogenic activity and many more such the human contribution. In this regard, this global warming and the climate change plays very very important in the present scenario, because we are looking after the conservation of the environmental issues, and also we are facing a n number of problem with rise in the present scenario, like heat waves, floods, and as well as unseasonal rains, even many times cyclones, all these effects, and what we are presently, when just within a, recall that within 4 days, uh, you can go to the, what is the water level in the KRS dam, which is one of the historical Karnataka Krishna Sagara dam. It's already fulfilled with the whatever the maximum level is there. That is how just within 4 days, the rain which has occurred in the belt of Madikeri and as well as the Chikmagaluru. So that has increased the water level in the KRS. These are all the sum of the few issues which is going to contribute towards this climate change. Okay. With these a few introductions, let me start my presentation on the climate change. Let me share my slides. Is visible my slides?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Yes, sir.
Visible, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Uh, I have chosen this topic, global warming, and I put this war or slash climate change, because earlier we used to talk about this present burning issue, and we used to address that the global warming. So everyone knows that the increase in the temperature, increase in the average temperature, that led to the many of the problematic situations in our daily life, that has defined as a global warming. But after the few years, so just past 20 years, we are forgotten about the global warming, and we are trying to use the new terminologies called as a climate change. That's why in the biological system or any of the common man, if you ask any what is the climate change, so anything that will going to be change in the climatic variations, or what we are observing, what we are feeling, what we are experiencing, that maybe leads to the climate change. That's what the our thought or our uh, 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 there's information about the for regarding the climate change that to common man. So let me fresh up all these aspects with my presentation or whatever so far I have learned from my studies. I would like to share with you. So let us start with this. What could be the official or academic the definition of the global warming, which refers to the recent and ongoing rise in the global average temperature near the Earth's surface. Whenever we, I think all belongs to some of this in science fraternity. So whenever we study the atmospheric structure, or what could be the, we used to divide into the four various stages. Like one is the troposphere. What is the atmospheric structure means? That is the troposphere, stratosphere, ionosphere, and exosphere. Particularly in the tropospheric region, what we used to feel, that comes under the even on the Earth's surface. What we are experiencing is the temperature is rising. Why this temperature is rising? And what could be the reason? What are the causative factor? Those are all I will go to explain the next slides. So that's the increase in the, this just not only increase in the temperature, it is a global average temperature, because we should not tell that is we could able to experiencing about 42-degree temperature. We should not say this is because of the global warming. And it's not happening is overnight, or it's not happening is one day, because it takes 100 years together. Our contribution, particularly the human being, to the environment, that has led to the increasing in the global average temperature on the earth's surface, that has caused the global the warming. And mostly the increasing concentration of the greenhouse gases. There are many gases that is are there in the atmosphere. Among those atmospheric gases, there are few gases has identified as the main causative factor to increase the temperature, and also those gases will going to capture, or that will going to hold the temperature not to reflect and go back to the atmosphere. That is the responsibility of these gases. So what are those gases? That is also I will going to discuss in the next slides. Apart from that, what I said is a recent year we have changed that global warming topic to the climate change. What could be the difference between, nothing more difference is there. Here this reference refers to any significance change in the measure of the climate lasting for extended period of time. Extended period of time is, there is a fixed time is there, like 24 hours, 12 hours, 48 hours, like that we have a fixed time. Apart from those fixed time, the extended period what we used to, that's even after that period also we used to feel or experience there is a change in the temperature, that has regarded or defined as a climate change. This climate change not only increases the temperature, but also increases whether other the climatic factors which going to be recorded. Okay, and in other words, this includes major changes in the temperature. It not only increases the temperature in the atmospheric region or the on the earth surface, it also changes the precipitation. Precipitation means that is rain what we are facing. As I said in the first sentence itself, just a span of 4 days we can able to see that how much the rain has come. These rain, actually we will going to divide this season into summer, uh, like monsoon, pre-monsoon and post-monsoon. What we used to see that during the monsoon period we used to get the rain, but according to the present scenario, so because of the climate change it has postponed, it has we are not getting the rain in the monsoon period. It has postponed to the next pre-monsoon, or there is a postpone or a preponement. This is happening because of this climate change. But it is not only this going to change the precipitation, but also this climate change will going to affect the wind pattern. So whatever the wind pattern should be there according to the natural conditions, that also to be altered because of this climate change, and that affected and over several decades or longer. Just if you feel that any the wind pattern has changed today, you cannot tell that, or you cannot recognize this is the because of the climate change. It happened the several decades, the over a period of time. If you measure those things, how we can measure the climate change, how we can measure the global warming, all those aspects also we're going to discuss in our today's session. And what it has made is the average, pardon. Okay, what it has made is the air temperature near the Earth's surface, how much it is increased? 0.74. Means just seeing the number, or just if you count the digit, if you tell that, sir, this is only just a 0.74, how we can tell that it's a 7, it's a more increase. Even zero point 0.1 is also counts a lot increase in the global air temperature, that in turn will go into contribute or rise in the sea level. That is the main which is happening. The main cause because of the climate change which is affected is the seashore areas. The rise in the seashore or the sea level, that may going to cause a very very tough moments in the next future. That's what that's during the 100 years what we can able to face this increase in the temperature. So as I said, this the climate change not only going to change in the temperature, but it starts to change in the sun's output. Means whatever the radiations, whatever the different types of waves that's coming from the sun's output, that's also changed because of the pattern, or that is because of the presence of the greenhouse gas on the earth surface. At the same time, it has also changed the Earth orbit. Whatever the revolutions, whatever the Earth has to move, that's rotation is taking place, that has slowed down. And also sometimes it may speed up that the orbital movement. And also the continental drifts, what is called as the movement of the tectonic plates, movement of the Earth surface, that's also changed because of this climate change. And hello, can you mute your mic? Okay. Apart from that, there is another natural calamities which we recorded on the earth. That's volcanic eruptions. That is also the varied because of this climate change. Even the eruptions that's taking place. I'm not telling that this volcanic eruption is taking place because of the climate change, but that has also contributed or altered in the volcanic eruptions, and also that is because of the presence of the greenhouse gases, and also the concentration of the greenhouse gases on the earth surface also altered or also increased day by day because of the variations in our activity. Because the present scenario, so we are using many the electronic gadgets and as vehicular pollution that are all increasing the global warming, that are contributing towards the increase in the concentration of the greenhouse gases on the earth surfaces. That is the main which is a causative factor to change in the climate. So this, whenever we give the example of the global warming, this is the main diagram which I would like to share with you, because the all the participants are not science students, who are all non-science students. You can just see that this is the earth surface what we are facing. Okay, so whenever the sun, the radiations will come down, so that will going to be uh, yeah. Can you see that this diagram?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You can see this incoming solar radiations is coming from the sun, and there are many different types of the outgoing long wave radiations will be there, and some part of this solar radiations, some rays will going to reflect by the clouds and the atmosphere, and some of the part of this temperature, some of the part of the light will go into outgoing short wave radiations, some will be rejected, some apart from that, a few of the concentration of this light will be absorbed by the earth, and remaining is it's going to go back to the atmosphere as a outgoing long wave radiations. This is a natural process without any greenhouse gases. Because of the contribution, because of the accumulation of the greenhouse gases due to the industrial activity, due to the human activity, so these are the greenhouse gases which we will going to focus. So this has trapping the light what is coming from the sun's output. It is not allowing the outgoing long wave radiations to go back to the atmosphere. So this is making a just like a obstacle or a barricade to capture the all the temperature what are all coming from the sun's radiation, and it's accumulated in the earth's surface. That has created the increase in the temperature of the earth's surface. That's why, so what we can call as main culprit for this, the accumulation of this temperature, what is from output or whatever the changes are taking place and causing the climate variations, climate change, that's all because of the greenhouse gases. Let us see this, what are the different types of greenhouse gases. So as I can say that there is many greenhouse gases are there which is going to contributing or which is going to increasing the temperature and contributing towards the global warming and as well as the climate change. Among those, there's one is a nitrous oxide and carbon dioxide, methane, water, and hexafluoride, what we can call that. So these are the greenhouse gases. Apart from that, apart from these greenhouse gases, what I said, this is the carbon dioxide and water. These two are major contributor to increase in the global earth surface temperature, because it is considered as a major greenhouse gas is the carbon dioxide and as well as the water. You can ask that, sir, it's a water is a liquid, how we can say it's a gas when it's evaporated? So that's vapors which will go into so form the carbon which is deposited on that one, and the vapors which is going to be mixed with carbon, that's also become a gas. That is also a kind of a greenhouse gases that is going to contributing in the increasing in the temperature. These among these greenhouse, I'm not telling that only carbon dioxide and water, but among these greenhouse gases, the carbon dioxide and water is a major contribution or a major the role which is played by for the increasing the temperature or increasing the global warming. Okay, so this is a just I am the slide which is showing this indicator of the human influences on the atmosphere during the industrial era. So that what I said is, you can see that the carbon dioxide concentration how much is increasing, and oxides of nitrogen, that's a nitrous oxide, and also the methane concentration. You can see that what could be these are the indicators of human influence, means these are the greenhouse gases are major which is contributed by the human activity or anthropogenic activity. So this is the when you compare the carbon dioxide concentration, that's a in the left side you can see the how much the ppm, as now we have reached about 360 ppm of the carbon dioxide there in the atmosphere, which is making the temperature not to go to one back once go back to the atmospheric region, and it is holding or it's acting as a barricade, acting as a surface layer to hold the temperature or to hold the increase in the temperature at the earth level. Even oxides of nitrogen, because of the industries, most of the industries in the gases which is eliminated, or the polluted the gases which is eliminated from the industry, various types of industry, that is having a major contribution of nitrous oxide. And methane is also one of the, because the every activity of the human being, including the solid waste, even after the dumping of solid waste, even that is air, the leachate or a liquid waste of the solid material, even that is also liberating or giving the methane gas as a one of the byproduct recovery to the environment. Okay, so that's concentration. Particularly, we have reached 1,750 ppm of the methane concentration on the Earth surfaces. Not only I am telling that it's methane is not only because of the human activity. There are natural processes also there that is also contributing. That's a methane gas. One among that is methane concentration because of the human in the industrial area that also increases. What we can do is the methane gas, which is come or which is going to be liberated during after the processing, after the manufacturing unit, we can use one of the fuel as a byproduct recovery, instead of living or instead of just discharging into the atmosphere. We can use this as a byproduct recovery as a fuel for boiler and any other purposes. But that's not, we are not doing that. If you do that, you can at least you can cut down this methane concentration in the atmosphere, which is going to the increasing the global level temperature. Apart from that, the aerosols, sulfate aerosols are deposited on the Greenland ice, particularly. That's also the oxides of sulfur, which is also contributing towards the increase in the temperature. Can you put off your mic? Yeah, just you see that, as I said, this temperature or the variation which has taken place in the atmosphere is not a overnight or a one day or a 1 week or
ನೀವು
1
ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಾ?
8 years.
ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ
ಹಲೋ, ಮೈಕ್ ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ನಿಮ್ದು? ಓಕೆ, may I know who is that? Sharadamma. Can you mute your mic? Hello? 36. Participant 36, Shardamma. Hello? Can anyone participant can tell them?
Yes, sir. I'm telling from here. I'm trying to mute, sir, but it's not taking.
Okay, okay. Because even
Just a
others,
minute, sir. I will call and tell, sir.
so
Just a
others
minute.
also that disturbing because of her this thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Yeah, you can see that. So as I said, it's not happening because of only over a period of time or one overnight. This measurement, just I have we are measured from 1976 to 2000, means almost 25 years or 24 years. You can see this many trends in the carbon emission. As a temperature, how much it has been increased means this dots. What we can see, this small two types of dots are there. One is a black or a blue color dot, and another one is a red color dot. This black color dot is temperature which was in the negative 10, means earlier what we can able to measure before 1976, I mean even during 1976. And another the trend we can see that's after plus zero point 0.2 plus zero point 0.4 plus 0.56 plus 0.8 plus 1 degree. Okay, so that's the major the dots we can able to recognize. The small dot indicates the plus zero point 0.2 degree centigrade increase. But most of the country these days you can see the maps, even behind in the watermark is there, and behind you can see the map. India is also having the concentration, like we have reached plus zero point 0.8 also here. This is our India. Even the Delhi and this Gujarat and some of the places we can see, even including the I think it's in the south region also we can see that maybe Bangalore or Chennai, even we have the zero point 0.6 and zero point 0.6 to 0.8 plus the increasing in the concentration and increasing the temperature per decade, means every 10 years we used to increasing. That's why our COP, I mean, that's the IPCC has, even in the last convention, they have put into forward that every country has to follow that. We will take the oath that we will not allow the temperature go, I mean, go beyond the 1.5 degree temperature. That is what our the oath or that's a agreement that we have signed, will not allow the temperature go beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius. Earlier they have made this 2 degree, but now they are reduced. That is what we will try to avoid or try to control the carbon concentration in the atmosphere, and also try to reduce the temperature and not allow the temperature go back, I mean go beyond the 1.5 degree Celsius. This is just I wanted to show the trends, how the temperature has increased, because many of the people have not agreeing that. So it is not increasing the temperature. There is no the evidence for the climate change. There is no evidence for the global warming. That's why it is a, you can see this because this the slides, this is the report which is published by the IPCC, that is the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change, which is an organization is working for the climate change and the global warming. So that is what the this diagram which shows. So what causes the sea level to change? Whenever we are concentrating, or whenever you talk about as that climate change is going to, if it happens, so what it makes the change is the rise in sea level. How this temperature, how this will going to raise the sea level means that, so can start with the, like exchange of water by the stored on the land by the glaciers, because the most of the if you go to the north India, so whatever the water the what are concentrated in the glaciers, ice caps, and many mountains, ice mountains in that one, the most 70% of that's accumulated in the glaciers. So if the temperature will rises even a zero point 0.8 to 1 degree, that all the glaciers and the ice caps will be melt. So that will going to be contribute or increases the ocean water. Just not only when the melted water comes into the ocean, that ocean starts warming because after the melting, whatever the temperature was there in the ocean, the depth, and also when it mix with the other water which is going to be like melted with this climate change, that will increases the ocean warming, and that's expand the water, and then the surface and the deep ocean circulation will changes. Okay, so inside whatever the circulation of the waters or the temperature or a storm, that will go to increases the surges the storms, what we call as cyclones, whatever is called chandamartha, what we used to call in Canada that chandamartha, that starts, that surges means that increases, that will going to contribute. Then it also subsidence in the river delta and the land movements, tectonic movements, that will going to once again when the water increases in the ocean, that will going to change the tectonic movements and land movement, and takes place even particularly in the hilly mountain area, the landslides and many such natural events that will going to take place. And what about the terrestrial water storage is that the extraction of the groundwater, the building of the reservoirs, that will change its runoff and seepage into aquifers. Once again, that will come back all the rivers water. Then that also increases, and that's going to connect it with the ocean and increases sea level. That is the main the change which takes place because of the temperature variations or the global warming. Okay, this is the process. This diagram which shows that, and it's also published by the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change. How it affects means whenever the heat waves or temperature rises, you can see this the Great Ocean Conveyor Belt. This is a world map which we can see that whenever the heat releases to the atmosphere, whatever the Atlantic Ocean or whenever these the ice caps and cold regions and sea level oceans are there, that all going to move as the conveyor belt. The, that's like a heat atmospheric temperature moves from one place to another place, and it spreads out all over this, and temperature once again whenever wherever the ice the caps are there, that will be melted and increases the sea level rise, or sea level water will be released. And what could be the effect of the on the this sea level rise on the ecosystem? Because whenever we will see that this climate change not only changes in the sea level rise, or that will also contribute various types of even small, starting from microorganism, and it start when you are vertebrates, it will affect. Because whenever you see this Japanese one, the what's called as a kind of a flower which is blossoming, that also postponed because of this same change in the climate change or the variation in the temperature, and the small organisms like insects and birds, that will move from one place to another place because of variations or the change in the temperature in the at the global warming level. That is the main effect of the impact on climate change on the various. As I said, that's a rise in the temperature from the 1.8 degree. Just I am told in the previous slides only the 1 degree. Now, if you check this, what is will be the impact of 1.8 degree to 4 degree, even forest and diversity and agriculture and the coastal line will going to definitely it will going to affect, and that will be full what we call as a flood situation will comes when the sea level rise. And now it's not only just a flood, even I can we can face the deluge, which deluge is a word which is can be used when the over the flood will take place because washed out. Deluge is nothing but it's washed out. One time, if the water comes, everything will be washed out. Even forest, it may be forest, it may be a biodiversity, it may be a human settlement, or it may be any agricultural the land. Even that's the impact of the rise in the temperature on the other part of the environment. So if you extrapolate, or if you can just correlate this, what could be the impact on the on India? So various types of the places we have, and even ecosystem is also varied from one place to another place, because some we have in the desert, some we have the tropical forest, some we have in the coastal areas, some we have in the normal conditions like in Mysore. So always what we think that so Mysore is a good place and nothing will going to happen. But if the similar conditions will move even we will also face a lot of problem with respect to the climate change. So according to that, some of the predictions what we can do, like in Rajasthan, what we expect is the drought situation. We can there's the one way we can face this flood situation. Another places like Rajasthan, where the rainfall is very very less, that will face the drought situation. And run of Kutch, particularly in the Gujarat, that because it's surrounded with the various types of ocean, and sea level that will rise. And Mumbai, that's what's salt water intrusion, because of our oceans are a major contribution in the salt water. That intrusion will comes and it will going to be mixed with this our regular potable water. Then Kerala, the productivity of the forest, as I said, if you face any the floods or a deluge situation, even that will not going to see whether it's a forest, whether it's an environment, anything can be the exhausted, and it will come washed out with at a time because of these variations or a change in the climate. Then the Tamil Nadu, once again, we have the coral bleaching. Then Ganges, that sedimentation problem, because whatever the sedimentation which will have the nutritious, the soil is there, even some many microorganisms which is going to be taken part in the self purification or a biopurification when it runs the river, that will also be taken at a time because of this rise in the temperature, rise in the sea level. Then, particularly when we talk about this, one of the best mangrove vegetation we can see at the West Bengal is called as Sundarbans. There also the sea level rise, because even whenever we talk about this the reduction of the carbon concentration, and nowadays we are also experiencing a few terminologies which called as a carbon absorption, carbon footprint, carbon sequestration, means the absorption of the carbon from the atmosphere, and making the carbon concentration into zero. So the oceans are the major the carbon sequestration, the area which can absorb the much and much more carbon which is there in the atmosphere, and that will makes the carbon concentration as a zero at the atmospheric level. So that's why even Sundarbans is and next to the ocean, the forest is a major which contributor, or which is going to be takes place in the carbon sequestration. That's why as a Sundarbans which have a very good forest, like particularly mangrove vegetation, and if you see the effect that sea level rise, that will also, because fragile ecosystem we can able to see in the mangrove, because we can see many more such diversity. We cannot see the many species which is available in the Sundarbans in other parts of the forest area. So we need to conserve, we need to concentrate on that, the sea level rise. And then Northeast India, that's reduction of the rice hill, but which will going to be agricultural land, which is going to be major, because if it deluge will take place, flood situation will take place, definitely we will have the deficit of the food or scarcity of the food, that definitely will affect our, because you might have seen that in the past 10 years or past the years, we can see that whatever uh, the flood situation which occurred in the Markeri area or Shirur belt or the whatever there. So the whole the landslide that happened, full the village itself has taken up because of this the over raining, or else the flood situation. So that is a major which is going to be contribute. So just I am giving this a timeline. So the key question about the climate system and in relation to the humankind. So anybody can ask that, sir, why you're telling only the human is contributing? Of course, I do agree that this climate change not only because of the human or the anthropogenic, but the concentration or the contribution, the level is more from the human, and natural is very very less. So how it relates? If you put the timeline, that is like so from earlier period to the present and also in the future, there are two observations we can make. That like if you start with the paleo instrumental period and the present situation and the future, if this is the diagram which is going to be like observation we see with simulation, how we can predict into the future means you can simulate with the computer models, and also called as environmental modeling. You can make the calculate those aspects which is there in the environment, and make the simulation models can predict what will happen in the future, what could be the situation will be there, how we can manage that. So if you consider that, so one is the one is the one I would like to tell what is observation what we have made because of the increase in the carbon concentration as a greenhouse gases. We have seen that temperature variations, we have seen the precipitations like as I said, the changing in the precipitation level and also the snow and ice cover. If you see that, if you go to the one of the ice cover area, if you go back to the 30 years back, what was the ice cover and how it is in the next year? Like you can see that this is the ice cover. Once the temperature increases, this will going to be melted and it comes to the earth and the form of like water or increase the sea level. Then the circulation of the wind and also the extreme condition. What are the extreme conditions? As I said, the flood situation, drought situation, sea level rise, heat waves, and many more such events, even volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and many more such observation. We can see the observation what we are seeing in the present scenario. So if you will not going to change our mentality, we will not going to change our activity, which will not going to change our lifestyle to control, to come down, or to bring down the level of the concentration of carbon dioxide or into lower level, what will going to happen? Then how well are the past and present climate understood? If you make this, what changes that could lie ahead? If you not change means it starts to change the natural variations. Then the forcing agents, what are the forcing agents? As I said, the greenhouse gases, even natural calamities, those are all called as a forcing agent that definitely one or other that will going to affect the future. Then what will be the global climate? Overall, I'm not telling about India, I'm not telling about the Bangalore, I'm not telling about the Mysore, I'm not telling about the Karnataka. Whole global level, the climate, what could be that? Then regional climate, means our Karnataka. Then high impact events, what's heat wave, what we have facing, and sometimes even sunburns, what we are facing, and how to stabilization will take place to control this. This is the major, the question which is going to be need to be focused. We need to, we have these questions in front of us, and what could be the what we have to do, what is our next generation, what we need to do. Those are all the questions in front of us. You can ask that. So how we can measure those the variation in the climate or a change in the climate? These are the few the technology. These are the few the methods which we are used to follow. That how the climate has been changed over a period of time from 100 years or 50 years or 20 years or 10 years like that. If you go to the annual rings, if you I'm not telling that you go and cut the tree and to see that. Whenever the old tree is there, if you just check it out with the annual rings which is going to be there, you measure or you analyze this annual ring, how much the carbon concentration was there in the earlier, how much it has changed. That is also kind. And apart from that, there's fossils which we go for the fossils, collect the fossils and study with their analysis, or going for the characterization, and you will get this. What was the carbon concentration earlier, or greenhouse gases concentration earlier, and what was the present situation. Apart from that, ice core region, you just to take the ice core and the depth and take that one, you can go for the and ice core study also, you can do that. Apart from that, what we can call that's coral reef. Corals we can also take into the consideration. You take and also characterize that and also study over the coral, because corals are the major the indicator species that will go to tell that what was the climate earlier, what was the present situation. Because it is not the corals are not so grown is that just about 10 days back or 1 year back. It's the past from many years that we can able to see this coral reefs, that you can take those coral reefs as an indicator species, and you can study that how on where and exactly the what concentration this carbon or greenhouse gases has been changed, how we can measure that and we can predict that. So that is also changes the movement of the turtles, which is going to, because the temperature not only changes at the bottom level, even the surface level, that will going to alter the movement of the aquatic organism, and also increases the many more the communicable diseases, including the mosquitoes, and as well as because once the flood situation will comes, once the water level will be increases, that will going to be increase such the sustainability or diseases which is going to spread out, communicable diseases which is around the our places or our situations. Okay, then even in the increase in the melting of ice, and as well as the once it will going to be increase in the level, that will deluge the whole the agriculture land, which is going to be a contribute, or which is going to be we may face as a scarcity of the food and other things. So So how we can, or what makes us to the changes, what is the damage, like risk of the climate change damage would be reduced by stabilizing the carbon concentration. Yes, there are the five minimum, like we can see the study, what are the characteristics. One is the unique and threatened system, like extinction of species that we are seeing. So many, because of this threat, are the
Sir,
increasing.
sorry for the interruption, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, are you moving the slides, sir?
pardon?
Are you moving the slides?
Yeah, yeah, it's not moving
No, sir.
now. Now it's
No,
No,
sir.
moving.
sir.
No.
Pardon?
Now it's
Yes,
moving, sir.
Now moved.
yes, sir.
Yeah. Now you can see this risk climate change. Is it right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Here there are, because of this increasing of the carbon dioxide concentration, if you not stabilize or reduced by stabilizing the concentration, what will happen? There are many such the outputs, or many the effect which is going to happening is, one is the main unique and threatened systems, that is affect the extinction of the species, because many species are the adjusted, or that is able to grow in a particular kind of a temperature, a particular set of the life. As I said, there's a many. I'm not telling about this larger organism or aquatic organism or any other organism on the terrestrial side. Even if you measure the microbes which is there at the micro environment, that is the main first organism which is affected because of the increase in the temperature or decrease in the temperature. But what we are not seeing is, we are not concentrating, or we are not going to see that what is the effect on the microorganism, because we cannot see through the naked eye. We have to observe those things in the under the microscope. That's why we are not able to see that. So is starting from the microbes, it's even up to the vertebrates, what we can see that the extinction is taking place because of this variation in the temperature, but we are not aware of that, and we are not going to seeing that. And apart from that, the loss of the unique habitats like a coastal, wetlands, mangrove vegetations, and many more such estuaries are also going to be affecting because of this climate change. Then the bleaching and the death of the corals, what we can see, as I said, it's very, very important ecosystem, that's coral reefs. So that's the presence of the corals only that is contributing in the absorb from the carbon dioxide, and that is also going to bleaching take place because of this the variation in the temperature and extreme climate events. You might have observed in the Andhra Pradesh and the Telangana regions, like you can many times we used to read it in the social media and as well as the newspapers, like extreme heat waves that will, because this much of people has died because of extreme heat waves that you used to see in the particular even Karnataka. If you focus on this Vijapur or in the Ballari regions, even you can see the timings of working people has changed. 8 to 1:30 or 8 to 2:30, they have made change that because of the extreme heat or extreme the temperature which they can able to we cannot withstand. That's why this is also one of the consideration has to be taken place. Then distribution of the impacts, like the cereal crop yields, and also the decreases in the water availability in some the water stressed countries, like because many places which they have the scarcity of facing the scarcity of water. Even take an example of this in Karnataka only, that if you go to the Gujarat, Gulbarga regions or Ballari region or even Chitradurga also, the many places will not get the sufficient drinking water, even though there are many sources and river systems, river ecosystem was there, but we are not able to succeed in supplying the drinking water. So apart from that, like even if you go to Chennai, we can get the salt water, but there is no as fresh water to drink that. And also the net market sector, which is going to be loses, estimated of many the developing countries, particularly including our India also, will be affected because of this climate change if we'll not going to sign the treaty, or will not go to sign the agreement that to decrease the carbon concentration. Then the global aggregate impact that is going estimated as a global aggregated impact, that's also going to affect definitely will financial, or when we'll talk about the economic way, that will also come down. Then the larger scale and high impact events, that's called as a significant slowing of what's called as the thermocline the circulation, which is going to be posted by the 2100, what we are facing 2025, 2050, 2075, and 2100. What is climate change? They estimated that the ranges of the global means of temperature. This is the estimated, like whatever we can see that it may go up to the 606 degrees centigrades. So this is the estimated or the extrapolation of the if we're not going to control the carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere. That is a major things. Now slide has moved. Now you can see the types of adaptation and the climate change slide.
No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
Now,
No.
No, sir.
can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what kind of types of adaptation that's we can adopt for that to control this? Like one is the we can see that what is the natural system and the human system. Natural system is naturally how we can anticipatory that we can do that to make adaptation or changes in our lifestyle that could going to reduce the carbon concentration, or reduce our control over the temperature. So what is the natural system? Another human system. Human system means the introduced or a human participation which has taken place. One is if you go to the natural system, we don't have any anticipatory because it's a natural system that only the reaction has to take place, like changes in the length of the growing seasons, like whatever the agricultural land growing season that's going to change. The changes in the ecosystem composition. As I said, the temperature varies. As I also showed some of the photos, like how the animals will move from one place to another place when the temperature rises. That changes the ecosystem composition. If the ecosystem composition changes, automatically it will affect the food chain. Automatically it will affect the food web, and once again it changes the whole aquatic system will going to change. Then wetland migration. The wetland, whatever is there, that will be migrated one place to another place. When that's affect the migratory birds also. That is a natural system which it takes place. But if you come to the human system, there are two types. One is the private, one is the public. So whatever the private, what you can do this, the purchase of the insurance, then construction of houses on the silts, and redesign our oil rigs, oil whatever the things are there, like purchase of insurance, and whatever the problems which may occur, you can go for that to control and have your life. Then houses on the silts, then the redesigning of the oil, the depositories, whatever is there, you can redesign, but because of the evaporation of those oils. Then the reactive, what takes place because of the changes in the farm practices, like what we can do, that practices what we are doing, like a crop rotation or any other types of the farm what we are following, that you can change from one practice to another process. And once you can put cereals, one you can put the pulses, one you can go for, because the change in the crop rotation that will go to avoid some of the insects are that are going to be affected the crop production. Then changes in the insurance premiums, then purchase the air conditions, like whatever the ACs what we are, that's contributing towards the increasing of the hexafluoride, that's what we call as a hexafluoride, and what we can that's the freons, the gases, hydrocarbons, that will also increases the affect the ozone depletion. Then the public, that's early warning systems, then the new building codes, design standards, the incentive for relocation, because what we need to is any part that is going to be affected that by because of these the climate change, the incentive, if you relocate or if you can go back to the other places, that incentive will be given, like that you need to go for that. Then the compensatory payments and the enforcement of the building and beach, that beach nourishment, these are the reactive, which is types of adaptation that is going to changes takes place due to the climate change. Okay. Then in another hand, so what are the problems which is going to be? One is the Arctic sea is melting, observation that we couldn't able to find out. Then fossil fuel emissions exceeded most of the whatever the IPCC has projected. fossil fuel emission means fossil fuel what we are using, that petroleum products itself is the IPCC what is predicted that also increases, then our assumption about the global energy use are the too optimistic, because whatever we are using the global energy, like sometimes say solar energy or wind energy or the hydroelectric project, what we are thinking because of this we are talking, pardon, pardon, then how quickly can developing country like India reduce the GHG means greenhouse gas emission? Then calculation it has not included like melting of the Greenland and Antarctic, particularly ice region which is there. This is the problem in one way what we have seen earlier. In another hand, this is the questions or these are the challenges which we have. This is the per capita carbon dioxide emission, which we can see that. So USA is going to contributing towards more and more 20.1 metric tons per year. Okay, means per head, and Europe is 9.4. When our India is also there, like we can, even though if it is very smaller amount at the global level, it also play a very important like 1.02 metric tons per person per year. That is the contribution of the only the carbon dioxide I'm calculating and I have told. Then what I said, this is the human are the major, largely responsible for recent climate change. Over the past century, then human activity has changed, particularly like in burning of fossil fuels, like to produce energy, because more and more we are taking the petroleum products and these fuels for to burn that. Then even neglecting the forest and cut down all the forestation like a deforestation activity, the industrial process which is going to be, and also the agriculture practices which are there is going to affecting that. So now it's slide changing, no? Now you can see the resilience slide.
No,
Same
sir.
slide, sir. No, sir, it's not changing.
Now,
Types of adaptation, climate change.
oh, okay. Once again, I don't know why it's not changing. Now you can see this resilience slide.
Yes, sir.
Apart from the climate change, there is another the word which has become familiar in the recent 4 to 5 years. That's after 2016. We will talking about the resilience. The resilience means nothing but it's kind of we are calling this climate resilience, ecosystem resilience. Means once the ecosystem which is disturbed and it has to come back to the same original position what it has earlier, it needs a time, it needs a some of the uh, whatever that we have disturbed, it may be in the degree of manner or a speed of the recovery. Means the resilience is nothing but in simple words we can say that recovery. Okay, that's called as a resilience. I will give an example, like it says just a this is if you throw the ball to the wall. So once if you go back and come back to the original position, that is called as a resilience. So for this reason, I will give you a small example of this resistance and the difference between the resistance and the resilience in the ecological system. You can see this the frog and as well as the red gum tree in the slide.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So here the two examples are there. One is a frog and another is a red gum. That's a tree which is going to be considered as a resilient like that. So most of here there is a two difference. Like most of the frog will decline. Means whenever they'll put the gives rise of eggs, they lay down the eggs during the unrain season. There is no rain, there is no water at all. It will become a stagnant, and these the frog eggs will not go to hatch. Once the rain will comes, immediately it takes resilient, means it come back recover immediately, means it will very it's more less resilient resistance, more resilient, quickly it will go and become a recover. But whereas the red gum is considered, it is the uh, red gums are resistant to the loss, it can resist for longer time, but resilient time which is takes meant to recover time, it will be more for the red gums. This is the difference between the resilient and what called as a resistance. Apart from that, these are the percentage, because what I said is the variation in the climate. These are the like maize, wheat, and what we can see is rices that's going to be affected in the future if you're not going to control. And these are the few sectors. Just I will run through the some of the slides, which are the sectors which is going to contributing towards the climate change, how we can make the change or alteration in that. That's one is the agriculture and food supply. What we need to do is you can adapt for the changing the climate and go for the pest management and the crop rotation and other things that we can make. Then only we can save this one. Another one is air quality. That what we used to see in the Delhi pollution, because of the burning of the husk, what will going to rise in the Chandigarh or Punjab region, that is contributing more and more the oxides of sulfur, oxides of nitrogen, and also the carbon emission in the that is affected or carried on from Chandigarh, Punjab to the Delhi, increase that air pollution. So what we can do this, some of the regulatory initiative and partnership programs that will going to be reduce the air pollutants, that we can change or reduce the greenhouse gases that we can adopt. And another thing is what I said is when carbon sequestration, absorption of the carbon, what is said, when trees and forest is also a second place where you can absorb more the carbon concentration. And if you don't have the places to place, I mean to put the plant, now we have many types of different types of the initiatives that has taken place, vertical gardening and rooftop gardening, that we can make in the cities, that going to be contributing to absorb the carbon concentration. And particularly when we talk about the rise in the sea level, what need to be done is the coastal area, many the communities, what you can do this, elevate the buildings or construction barriers to the shield people to business. And because a major the business areas which is considered as a coastal area, we can raise the elevating the buildings, which is going to affect the flood situation or rise in the sea level. That is one thing. And ecosystem, what we need to is there's a natural or a national the resources which is considered as ecosystem. We can need to reduce the carbon concentration, and only thing is that is a way we can come back. Then energy and freshwater resources, that is also one of the area where because as I said, this fresh water is very in the lesser quantity, and many of the country or many of the places or even the states or districts that's facing a lot of scarcity of water. And for that, this rising temperature, government agencies are supporting the resilience projects, like even the reduction of the, like, instead of going for the any what we can use the fossil fuels, you can go for the technologies, renewable technologies, what wind and solar energy and hydroelectric project, to reduce the green, that's the air pollution, and as well as the reduce the greenhouse gases. And forest and health, as I said, it's a mangrove and other forest and health, this carbon, the industries which need to be concentrate towards emission of this oxides of sulfur, oxides of nitrogen, instead of using the technology like like what we call as a many of the instruments which can absorb the carbon or another type of pollution, polluting the air pollutants that can absorb, like scrubbers and also electrostatic precipitators, and many such kind of equipments are there that can be used for to absorb the carbon concentration, which will in turn will contribute towards the increase the temperature. Then ocean and marine sources, as I said, is a major the level where we can concentrate, and the carbon sequestration which takes place. Then there is a big question: is there what can you do, or how we can do that? So there is a one major things. Can you able to see this three levers bend curve slide? Hello, can you see this slide? Pull three levers to bend the curve.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Ranges
No,
of
sir.
percent changes in.
No, sir.
How? I don't know what happening is, I don't know.
Now we can.
Now
Yes, sir.
we can see that
Yes, sir.
now?
It's now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
what we can do is the major things are there, like pull the three levers to bend the curve. There is a three major activity that we can control, have the on the carbon emission. One is we need to pull the lever of super pollutants. Super pollutants means what I said is a methane, a soot particle, hydrofluorocarbon. These are the called as super pollutants. We need to reduce. Means that is a we need to reduce whatever we are just reducing 30%. We need to reduce up to 100%. We need to reach the 100% by 2030. We have to slow down or come down to the like reduce that one from 30% reduction to the 100% reduction we need to do. That is the first, the lever which need to be controlled. Second is carbon neutrality, means whatever the carbon concentration on the there on the earth atmosphere, we bring down to the neutral level. That is called as a carbon neutrality lever. The second stage you can just to uh, pull that one and bring down to the zero emission by 2050. Zero emission by 2050. We need to go for the zero emission, because we are not going to we are not going to producing any kind of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And third and last part is the atmospheric carbon already there, because I need not to reduce whatever are already there in the atmospheric, that extraction that has to be absorbed by the various ways, that what I said carbon sequestration. We have to take out the 300 billion tons of carbon dioxide there is there in the atmosphere. We have to make it a neutral or zero level of the carbon dioxide by 2050. This is the target which has given by the our recent the the COP convention. So I will go just so there is a they have a particular agreement, they have given net zero. So what is the net zero means? The put simply that it's a mean the cutting the carbon emission to a smaller amount or a residual emission that can be absorbed with the durable storage by the nature, like atmosphere, or maybe vegetation, or by the ocean, or by the any kind of forest, that can be removed the whatever the present the carbon dioxide is there in the atmosphere. And finally what we need is zero concentration should be there in the atmosphere. That is the main target. That is the agreement which has been to be signed by the developing country like India also. Then we have already signed, and also signed the treaty and signed the agreement that we never will go for energy sector like a hydroelectric project, and also go for the solar and wind energy, that we're going to adopting and try to bring down the carbon dioxide level at the link. And what are the major key solutions needed to mitigate the climate changes? These are the 10 steps which we have focused. One is retire the coal plants, whatever the coal plants are there, then invest in the clean and green energy efficiency, or retrofit and decarbonize the building, then decarbonize the cement and steel plastic industry, and shift to the electric vehicles like what we are using present scenario, and increase the public transport system rather than using everyone like a four-wheeler or two-wheeler in a single home, and decarbonize whatever the carbon which is there, decarbonize, then halt the deforestation. And whatever the deforestation we are making, you put down or a halt for a over a period of time, then you go for a restore the degraded lands with the few more forestation. And also if you are not you are already deforested, you go for the new technology, new type of the growth of sustainability called as a Miyawaki type of forest development, where we can get within a small period or 10 years we can get very good the vegetation, and also false type of forest which can absorb the carbon concentration in the atmosphere. And also try to avoid reduce the food loss and waste improvement and agriculture practices, then eat more plants than the less use the meat which what we are. This is only way we can go for. This is the key elements for the sustainable development. Is one is economic, and is the one is social, and one is the environmental part we need to control. Otherwise it's very difficult for to manage that the thing. So now the I will come to the last part, and this is the question type of the things which I need to focus. Can you able to see this diagram, I mean photo?
Then what is
Pardon? Success story?
No, sir.
One second. Yeah, now you can see that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is the last part of my presentation. Let's say, can you all these things, whatever I have told you regarding the how the carbon we can come down, or we can make a neutralize, or we can bring down to the zero and other things. Can you able to recognize the place which is the place? This is one, because you need to be explained means story that you need to recognize the place. Which one is this? Anyone? So this is the one of the smallest country in the India. That's, I mean, next to the India, that's called as a Bhutan. Bhutan is one of the smallest country, which is now considered as a global leader in the climate action, because it is called as a carbon negative country. Means the Bhutan is the world first carbon negative country. Whatever the carbon dioxide are there in the atmosphere, the forest which is there fully it absorb the carbon dioxide more than what it emits. So that is called as a carbon negative country. And it has the forest cover of increased from past decade 45% to the 70% of the forest cover has been changed. This change in the forest cover has contributed towards absorption of the carbon which is there and made this country as a carbon negative. And the third one is it is using more reliable on the renewable energy, like 100% renewable, like particularly hydroelectric electricity they are following. Then organic culture they are going, and also they are celebrating that's a social forestry day, and Bhutan has a national holiday on the social forestry. And also they have adopted the global environmental facility like partners that is supporting the Bhutan to adopt the climate change. Apart from this, even though all this adaptation, even still this Bhutan has vulnerable the country, which rapidly the whatever the ice that's there is melting, and the unpredictable rainfall and other factors like a glacier lake, the outburst floods and disrupted water flow to the communities, even landslides, all these things will going to be affected by from the flash floods and drying up of water sources. Apart from all these, the variations, all these calamities, all this the disturbance, even still the Bhutan is following and a particular the agreement, and it's regarded as a carbon negative country. This is the story behind that, what we need to learn from the small country and what our individual action is. So what we need to do, like a tune up our furnace, unplug the appliances which is not to be used. ನೀವು ಯಾವಾಗ ಕಂಪ್ಯೂಟರ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರಲ್ವೋ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವ್ದನ್ನ electrical appliance, whenever you not in the use, you put off that, because that will also increases the carbon concentration. Use the mass transit bike or a public transport system. ಯಾವಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ದಾಗ you use the mass like the public transport system, and try to use the water saving appliances in the toilets, and like less installing the like low flow showers. And if you use more water, that will also contribute towards the carbon emission. Then charge the weather strip, insulate and replace the old windows. Then buy the US EPA energy that star environmental friendly label or eco labeled products for your family. Then only we can able to contribute or at least reduce some of the things, because what we need to do is uh, because as I said, the impact of the climate change are not evenly distributed, because every country, every places in the different types of the temperature we can observing. And we cannot say that okay, so whatever the contribution is this from US or America, it's going to affect, we are not affecting. You cannot say that, because the effect, the poorest country like India is affecting, and we will suffer earlier than the most of. And if and when the damages are appear, it will not be too late that revenge that revise this process. That's what we need to do is the force to look out for a long way ahead to control this the global the temperature which is already occurred. We'll try to bring down and try to grow more plants and try to reduce the carbon emission to the atmosphere. With these few words, I very much thank